As they come out of the Sud curve, then up towards the line, Peter Daly, the race director, gives the go-ahead. So the lights go green, we go racing. Gellings gets the drop on everybody as they head down towards turn one, the Nord curve. Oliver Freimuth dives up the inside, and Mark Patterson gets up the curve. Just about got away with that. He's about to get attacked by Chris Rosenberger there, and Aurelius Rustiker in the Porsche gets up on the inside line. I have a horrible feeling that was about to spell disaster, but they all survived turn one. It is Peter Gellings in the lead then as they turn right then out of turn two for the first time.
Yes, indeed. The Lamborghini looked a little bit hesitant down the inside there. It was almost as if he was thinking, should I go for this? Hang on, it's wet. But he still did it. Managed not to make contact, which was the important thing. They got out of it enough to then hit the curve. Oh, the seven's around already.
That's all right
from the front of the pack. And it didn't look like it was making much of an effort to get going again. We've got the other Lamborghini absolutely roaring its way around the outside of the Porsche there, keeping him nice and close to the left-hand side. But with the 7 dropping off early, I'm just looking in the background to see if he gets back going again, because it looked like, to me, like it came to a stop almost 4 wide. The KTM did get going again.
And there's the inevitable contact. Yeah, exactly. That's Freimuth again on Patterson. Christoph Ulrich's problem in the KTM on that wet grass is getting the traction to get off it, because it is going to be very, very boggy. I think he has got going. David Fairbrother, again, new to the circuit, is doing a ripper job here, carving his way up through the traffic. Oliver Freimuth chasing after him. But significantly, look at this. Mark Patterson is dropping back. Class championship leader. He's out wide there as well, look. So losing pace, all of which has got to be brought back by Anders Fjordbach in the second stint, but that car does not suffer from an extra amount of time in the pit, so they're going to benefit from that, plus Fjordbach's pace. It's going to be really interesting, this. Yeah, that's one thing you have to really consider as well, is when you are the first driver in the car, anything that you do is then a consequence for the second driver getting in the car. Yeah. It must be quite frustrating in a series like this, being the second driver, watching the other guy. If he does anything wrong, you've then got to hold him accountable for it, but at the same time, makes it all the more exciting for us. We've got the Lamborghini as a bit of a cork in the bottle, as you'd say, David, at the moment, just coming out of the left-hand hairpin. You can see he's even getting on the brakes here, but what happened to the 33 Audi was he just went for the inside line, and I mean, we've seen it all morning, even in the Clios that we were watching before. They were taking the wet line further away from the apex around the outside. He seemed to just think there was some grip there, and as soon as he hit it, straight on and around he goes. But look, going for it now down the inside of the Lambo. That's Mark Patterson then, gets the drive off the Sud curve, and will go through then out of turn 17. So he makes the move, he goes through on the inside line, back up into 4th place. 5th is Freimuth, 6th is Rustiker there, 7th is Chris Rosenberger. Now, Chris Rosenberger has a good pedigree before he came into the... At the front left of the Lamborghini as well. The contact that we saw into the hairpin earlier has really made the front left of that car look very grumpy, as here goes the number 5 Porsche around the outside of the number 3 Audi. And there was a big squeal of tyres, and that was why. That's Seni Sarmini from 2nd place who's gone around. That was the squeal. So the 2nd place KTM, blimey, Peter Gellings is having a charmed life. Any KTM that gets near him suddenly spins off. And I believe, is this the other moment as well? Again, just lighting up the rears. And this is what we were talking about just at the top of the broadcast there, wasn't it? This will be the spin then for the number 7, just coming out of the left, just lights up the rears. And he's very lucky not to get collected there. This is how in replay. So David Fairbrother in the green Lamborghini comes in way too deep, and there was no way he was going to make the corner. But in his defence, he didn't fight it. He let the car run off, let it run wide, rather than suddenly try and turn and risk a spin. Timing line, Peter Gellings leading then by 18 seconds. 2nd is Aurelius Rustiker in the Porsche, who's also had a good start to the race, gaining 5 spots. Mark Patterson 3rd, doing a very good job actually, Mark Patterson, in his defence, because he's worked his way up the order, as there, under attack, is David Fairbrother, losing out because past him goes Rupert Atzberger. Now it's sliding back down the order as other drivers, yes, I know David had his off, but other drivers seemingly getting more confident and being able to push it. That's the 3rd KTM rotation, and this time it finds something to hit. So round goes Rupert Atzberger, sharing the car with Peter Cox, and Atzberger will rejoin, finds a gear, rally crosses his way back onto the circuit, but again... That Porsche doing a great job as, there's been even more issues now. And he's that number 16 of Seni Sarmini once more, that was 2nd early on. The front, it looks worse, because that's how you get out of the car. You open the front of it. It looks very dramatic, It does, like it had a huge story up at turn 2. Looks like it just got away under braking, and it's broken the suspension. I'm not sure that car's going to be out for race 2. That was a big hit, wasn't it? Yeah, that was... Pit window is open. So the really smart teams might roll the dice, get them out of the traffic. I haven't yet seen anybody come into the pit lane as the cars come over the timing line then. So Gellings leads, Rustiker 2nd. And they're going through. Third is Patterson, fourth is Freimuth, fifth is Fairbrother, sixth Rosenberger, seventh is Rattel. The recovering Rupert Axberger is eighth behind him, and you can see there, look, having a go, Chris Rosenberger up the inside there of the green Lamborghini up towards turn 2. The KTM brakes as late as it dares, and Rosenberger tries to go through. He's got the tighter line for turn 2. He's going to be on the outside for turn 3, but he has got the job done.
Yeah, wonderful stuff. Nice and tidy. They seemed really confident when they got on the brakes, but then when they got to the apex, it was sort of like after you, after you, to see who wanted to try the wet part of the circuit first. But it had obviously dried out a lot more than they'd expected there, and the KTM disappears off down the road. But you can see them still hanging over slightly to the right. There is a little bit more water on the right-hand side of the circuit. Oh, big hit though on the Lambo. Really late on the brakes from Fairbrother. And the very sort of low-slung, pointy front end of that Lamborghini lifts the KTM off the ground. I'm intrigued to see what damage there is on the KTM, but there's a big old whack on the front of the Lamborghini. And the stewards will have a look at that, no doubt. So David Fairbrother either was caught out by the braking of the KTM or braked far too late, depending on who you're going to talk to post-race. Well, he survives it, and the Lamborghini, which has been off the road already this weekend, it's had a couple of drive shaft failures as well, takes another hit, but carries on almost undaunted. It's like swatting a fly, isn't it? He just dispenses with the KTM, battles on regardless. Now here, third and fourth have got themselves together. Mark Patterson, look, dropping away from Aurelius Rustica into the clutches of Oliver Freimuth. They almost came to blows on the opening lap when Freimuth was a bit toey, but he's on the back now of the Audi, and Rattel, fifth, he's also catching up, so he's benefited out of all of that. He's just gained another 2 places. So it's a race full of drama, that is for sure. Pit window is open, and now we should expect, should we not, to have people diving in. I think Patterson's coming for the pit lane. Yes, he is. Yeah. That was very hesitant for a moment there, wasn't he? It almost looked like he just couldn't decide, but yeah, he does jump in and get frustration of the difference of pace. Here's the hit earlier, by the way. Oh, it's a big old hit for the back of that KTM. I mean, the Lamborghini, the front end of that car really held up strong, but the KTM came so far off the ground, dug the splitter into the floor as well. Here we go on board. You can see he's on the brakes, and it's just got nothing.
Just can't do anything, can he?
Yeah, it's have to be careful about the balance. And you can see here now, Fjordbach going down the inside on the way into corner, way off the circuit, through the left-hander, picks up a bit of the dampness on the exit, and then manages to get a good launch out of there. Still hesitant on the apex for the next right.
That stage by the race director, so it could well be that there are penalties coming for the likes of Fjordbach for changing tyres before authorised. Now, you might think that's a strange regulation, because normally it's up to you to roll the...
My braking point into the hairpin is something like 180 to 100, 200, 280 metres. We brake, I braked, but he braked at 250. I knew I had to hit him square, or already taken the corner out of the car, so I just hit him. And the next thing, his engine's staring me in the face.
A big moment, but glad you're okay. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
I've never heard a racing driver actually admit to hitting him square. I mean, I see totally the rationale from David Fairbrother. Yeah. So this is obscene, the amount of extra pace that car's got, and it's purely down to having the right boots on. And look at this for the race lead. Easy peasy, up the inside goes Anders Fjordbach, and there's just nothing that Vergas can do.
No, it's painful on Vergas' part, because he's trying to get the most out of those tyres, the most out of that car, and he just has to watch the Audi go flying down the inside. And
so this car, the leading car, is under investigation for a pit stop infringement. You can see it going up on its jacks. There, tyres off, tyres go on. So it's had a tyre change, and so also, look, number 7 KTM. That's the car that Christoph Lenz has taken over from Christoph Ulrich, but that also is being looked at, because those tyre changes not authorised by the race director.
So much more planted, and it's a real shame for that number 5 Porsche, because earlier on in the race it looked so potent. He was absolutely on a mission. But look at this now, Longchamp down the inside, nice and convincing into turn 1. You can see the Porsche dancing on the brakes, tries to get a cutback, doesn't quite work at turn 1 at Hockenheim, but now he's on the damp part of the track slightly. On the right-hand side, is he going to try and outbrake him? I'll tell you what, he's still fighting it, though.
Absolutely.
A little bit later on the brakes.
Go on, Verge, up the inside. He's done it. Yep, brakes late, gets the place back. But the drive the Audi has is just better than the Porsche, which, again, is sliding all over the road. And Bert Longchamp goes round the outside, approaching the Parabolica, and through he goes, up into 2nd place. Now, if Michael Vergas is really brave, under braking now for the Spitzkehrer hairpin, he might be able to fight back. Let's see. He's on the wets. He's got a dampish part of the road. Wide in, he's tight out. But that car has just got no traction relative to the Audi. And Longchamp stays ahead. And look, Here you go. And boom, up the inside. I'm not entirely sure. Jordan Witt was fully alongside, and then he collects him again as he goes past that secondary contact. So that's another KTM in the wars.
Yeah, it's like, you hit my right rear, I'll take yours as well. Look,
he's not fully alongside, is he?
No, and then ready?
There's the second one, and that turns Jordan around.
I'll tell you what, holding onto a wheel, that
is another one on an absolute mission, but the Porsche clearly is struggling, and it's about to get mugged out wide. Slides Vergas.
Exactly, he could actually, even if he does get a penalty, he might end up surviving it. Yeah, oh, look at that, really good stuff from Peter Cox. A wider entry into the second to last, down the inside, thank you very much. Puts the Audi out onto the wetter part of the circuit.
That's on slicks as well, is it not?
Disappears, I believe it is, yeah.
Flag at the ready. It's going to be a second victory of the season, provisionally, for Mark Patterson and Anders Fjordbach on slicks on an ever-drying road, who comes through now to take the checkered flag. Anders Fjordbach wins the third race of the year in the Fanatec GT2 European Series. Provisional result, Anders Fjordbach the winner from the Audi he shares with Mark Patterson, ahead of Rupert Atzberger and Peter Cox. Peter Gellings and Bert Longchamp third, Aurelius Rustica and Michael Vergas fourth, ahead of David Fairbrother and Jordan Witt fifth. A lap down, but fifth, which is a remarkable effort given how many incidents the car seemed to be involved in. Sixth, Oliver Freimuth to win the AM class. Seventh, after a second pit stop to go on to slicks, Luca Piri and Stefan Rattel, ahead of Chris Rosenberger and Hans Stuck. Christophs, Ulrich and Lentz, 9th. Klaus Angerhofer and Hubert Trunkenpoltz in 10th, and out of the race, and I fear out of race 2 as well after that big impact, Sedi Samini and Stefan Rossina.